France is voting in the second and final round of snap parliamentary elections. You're looking at live pictures as polls have just opened in France. The result could produce the country's first far-right government since World War II. Marine Le Pen's anti-immigration national rally stands a chance of winning a majority for the first time, but the outcome remains uncertain. The rise of the far-right national rally has been the main talking point in this campaign. Let's see how we got here and what's at stake for France and the rest of the world.
Today's vote started with a crushing defeat for President Emmanuel Macron's Renaissance Party at the hands of the far-right in European elections. To clarify the political situation, he dissolved parliament and called a snap legislative poll, a gamble that the country was not ready to vote in a far-right government. A gamble that seemed increasingly risky after the far-right national rally easily took the lead in the first round of voting last Sunday. The question now is whether they'll win an outright majority in the runoff, enough to rule without forming a coalition. That possibility frightens many and inspired more than 200 centrist and left-wing candidates to pull out of the second round earlier this week to avoid splitting the anti-national rally vote. The mood in Paris has been both anxious and angry.
The decision by Macron isn't thought through, it's immature. He shot himself in the foot. He shot in the feet of all the French. He's put everyone into this impossible situation, plunged everyone into a deep mess. We're all in the same mess.
I think people are just really fed up and deeply frustrated, given that under President Macron's 2 terms, we've seen an explosion of the far right, even though one of the promises of the president in 2017 and 2022 was to set up a barrage against the far right.
The call for snap elections was meant to help the governing centrists against the far right, but had the unintended side effect of revitalizing the French left, which formed a new coalition, overcoming decades of bickering and disagreements. The left-wing coalition, called the New Popular Front, polled behind the national rally in the first round, but still well ahead of Macron's party. The far right campaigned largely on an anti-immigration platform and on pocketbook issues, pledging to lower energy taxes, for instance. But if it comes to power, its historic animosity to the European Union and to NATO could have major international effects.
In France, for the far right to arrive in power in such a major, this is the second biggest economy within the European Union, this is one of the world's biggest military powers, it's greatly involved in Ukraine, it's involved in Africa, it's a country that really projects itself well beyond its borders.
No matter what happens, Macron will still be president. His term runs until 2027. But in the event of a right-wing victory or a hung parliament where no party or coalition gets a majority, his powers will be diminished, and he'll be stuck with the new government for at least a year, the minimum before he can theoretically dissolve parliament and call new elections again.
We're joined now by DW correspondent Sonia Phalnikar in Paris. Sonia, what's the chatter in political circles? Could the national rally win an absolute majority?
Well, this is an absolute pivotal day of voting today in France, with the far-right national rally really in an unprecedented position of strength going into the second and final round of voting. But we have seen in recent days frantic efforts by the left-wing alliance, the New Popular Front and Macron's centrist alliance to really block the far right. Their strategy has been to withdraw candidates from 3-way runoffs and uniting behind the remaining contender that has the best chance to block, to defeat the far-right national candidate. And this seems to be paying off so far. Opinion polls show that the national rally may get just above 200 seats in parliament. That's well short of the 289 seats required for an absolute majority. But there are still a lot of unknowns today. One big concern is that not all of Macron's centrist allies have united behind the strategy to block the far right. We've heard from lawmakers who've equated the left with the far right in terms of extremist policies. There are concerns that this could prevent some centrist voters today from from voting for the left in runoffs against the far right. And so I think a lot today depends on whether voters will heed this call by mainstream parties to block the far right, really hold their noses and vote for candidates who are really far removed from their initial choice in the first round.
Sonia, we're hearing the campaign's been marked by threats and even some physical violence. What can you tell us?
That's right. I mean, this campaign has been, really kind of short and intense and really polarizing. We've heard from Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin, who says 51 candidates or their deputies and party activists have been physically attacked so far by people of varying backgrounds. The French media have been reporting about a spike in hate speech and racist incidents across France during this campaign. To give you just a couple of examples, there are reports of pamphlets targeting black people that have appeared in mailboxes in a Paris suburb recently. In the southern city of Avignon, there is a local bakery that reportedly hired an apprentice from the Ivory Coast. That bakery was targeted with racist slogans and set on fire. And experts here have really expressed concerns that a surge of, support for the far right now seems to be making some people comfortable with using racist and xenophobic language openly in public life. We've also seen a few candidates of the far right national rally being engulfed in controversy, some of them posting hate messages, racist speech and social media posts. And to add to all this, there are fears of violence tonight in Paris and other cities, regardless of the outcome of the vote. Security here has already been tight for the Olympics. It's being beefed up further tonight with more than 30,000 officers on the ground. So the second round of voting is certainly taking place in a very charged atmosphere.
Our piece made a quick reference to this, but explain what happens if neither the National Rally nor any other party gets an absolute majority.
Well, pollsters are saying that is a likely outcome, a hung parliament where neither party gets a majority. We could be potentially headed for gridlock or a stalemate in France, which is the second largest economy in Europe. One option we could see is, the government trying to set up some kind of a grand coalition or a government of national unity, though there are concerns about, how fast that could happen. Another option for Macron could be to cobble together a government, an apolitical government of experts and technocrats, much like Italy did in the past. But there are concerns about, whether this would require compromise, negotiation. There are concerns about how that government would survive. I think the immediate concern for France is to have some kind of government in place during the Paris Olympics, which take place at the end of the month.
Our thanks to Sonia Phalnikar in Paris.